Is up? Good evening. Hello from Pattaya, Thailand. How are you guys doing? Am I live? People in the chat, let me know if I am live. Also, if you are live and you're in the chat, please check in. Let me know where you're currently located and what time it is in your time zone. This is not my normal live streaming time. I normally do them like kind of first when I wake up, but it being a weekend, I figured I'd try something different, and I would do a night live stream. So for my American audience, it should be morning time for you guys, right? Is audio good? Is audio good? Also, if you're watching this on replay, I request you do the same and please check in the comments below. It's always super cool to see where everybody's at. And, it's crazy how many subscribers I have literally around the world. Today's video, as I said, we are going to be drinking some Thai whiskey, which is sometimes can be dangerous. Sometimes can be an absolutely terrible idea. Stagwar said Hong Tong is flowing in Thailand tonight. Well, it is, but not here, sir. For tonight's live stream, we have this, a frozen cold bottle of Sangsum Thai whiskey. It's actually, I think it's actually a rum. So I normally go with Johnny Walker. That's kind of my go-to is Johnny Walker Black Label. But one of my Thai friends, when I got back, you guys can hear me, right? Audio's good. When I got back from Poland, one of my Thai friends said, "Welcome back. Here is a bottle of Sangsum." So yeah, this has been sitting in my freezer for the past like 2 to 3 weeks, and tonight we're gonna be drinking Thai whiskey live. Audio 10 out of 10. Thank you very much. I'm currently in I'm not Bangkok. I'm currently in Pattaya. Going to Pattaya this weekend. Where's a quiet area to stay in? Fred, if you want a quiet area, you want to stay in Pratamak. You want to stay like Pratamak area. Or the very southern end of Jomtien. The very, very southern end of Jomtien. Almost where it gets near like Nod Jomtien, around Jomtien Soy 17. Kevin, what's up, dude? Appreciate the super chat, man. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate the super chat. And I hope to see you soon, my friend. Keep me updated on your travel plans, please. I will be here. Nico, yeah, it's definitely a rum. Yeah, everybody always says this is Thai whiskey. Like everybody says it's Thai whiskey. I guess they call, um, bruh. Look right there. It says right there, special rum. Look at that. It literally says it right there, special rum. I've never looked at this bottle before. Alcohol percentage is 40% alcohol. We have a Vietnamese person in the house asking me to explain my thumbnail. And the reason that Vietnamese person is asking me to explain my thumbnail because he probably notices the cars in the thumbnail are Vietnamese cars. I picked the shirt because if you notice the shirt that I'm wearing, it's a Pattaya Thailand shirt. But before YouTube life, I was a professional automotive photographer and journalist for just many different magazines, US based magazines. And at one point, I went to Saigon, Vietnam, and I photographed the BMW Club of Saigon for Eurocar magazine. and that was one of the photos that one of the Vietnamese automotive photographers, they kind of got like a behind the scenes photo of me during the shoot. So we had lined the cars up to do a photo shoot of all the cars for it was European Car Magazine. Yeah, so it was a pretty cool shoot. Sang Sum does not have a serious hangover. Yeah, man. I've drinking. I've drank way worse. I have had this before. I haven't had a lot of it, but yeah, like I said, my Thai buddy welcomed me back to Thailand with this gift. This bottle of Sangsum Thai whiskey, excuse me, rum. Um, it's unbelievable how cheap this stuff is. This is the reason why Thai people just drink this like it's water. This is $4.50. This is $4.50 for this bottle. Unbelievable. I have the spatula right over here. Would you like me to attach the microphone to the spatula? With the spatula, I clip my wireless mic onto the spatula, and it wouldn't last. It wouldn't last as long as these live streams are just constantly being used. It would die. Like this microphone is actually plugged in, so it has constant power. Goes great with Coca-Cola. That is what we are doing tonight is Sang Sum and Coca-Cola. I've been a non-drinker for 16 years. Good for you, dude. I would good for you. I've slowed down quite a lot. I don't drink nearly as much as I used to. But tonight, we're drinking Thai whiskey. Excuse me, rum. So, apparently, this is officially what we're drinking. So, according to the website rumratings.com, which, from what I can tell, is your go to website for rum ratings because it's called rumratings.com. Sangsum, oh, Sangsum has currently 63 reviews on this website with an average rating of 4.4 out of 10. So, damn it. 4.4 out of 10. That's not very good. So, we do have some ratings here. This guy gave it a 6 out of 10 and said, "Come on, it's not that bad." Friends brought this back from Pan Asian Rum Fest. I was immediately struck by the distinctive aroma of flowers and incense. A little weird, to be sure, but not unpleasant. Okay. Uh, this guy gave it a 1 out of 10 and said, "Rum? Question mark." I had a very good time with a few bottles of that liquid, but I can't call that rum. Wow. I'd like to learn more about how it's made, more of a caramel whiskey to me. So he says it's more like a whiskey with like caramel. This guy gave it a 3 out of 10. He says, avoid it. Okay, go on then. He says, it's not rum, and if you drink it in large quantities, there's a strong chance you'll end up in a cheap hotel bed with a ladyboy. um, I should have maybe, I should have maybe, read these reviews first. Crap. This is hilarious. Yeah. So definitely mixed reviews. definitely mixed reviews for Sing Some. So, tried Johnny Walker's Black Ruby yet? I have not, Nico. I've not tried Johnny Walker Black Ruby yet. I also noticed that when I pull up this, I am not actually on there. I don't know why. Maybe if I move this down like that. Oh, there we go. Anyway, we'll deal with that later. I think it is about time to make myself a drink. So we are drinking whiskey tonight, or Thai rum, whatever. Boom. So we're doing Coke Zero and Sing Some. That's the plan. What is up, Paul? Dallas is in the house. So, the rule with this type of whiskey is you definitely do not want to drink it straight. That would be a terrible idea. You definitely do not want to drink this whiskey straight. That would be horrible, horrible, horrible idea. Boom. Berlin's in the house. What is up? 6:42 a.m. in LA. What is up, LA? Good morning. Good morning. I know this is very high class, isn't it? Cheers, my dudes. Cheers. Okay, let's do this. David says Hong Tong soda water and ice is the go-to. Honestly, never had Sang Sum. I've never had Hong Tong. Yeah, very high my yeah. I mean, what are you gonna do? It was that or just use my finger. Stagwar said, "Did you see the video I sent you of James May visiting Jay Leno?" I got the notification for that message. I'm sorry I didn't reply. I actually watched that video. I think it was last night. I watched that. It was pretty good. Yeah. 9:45 p.m. in Western Australia. Cheers. What's up, Kevin? Cheers. Cheers. I always do these live streams first in the morning. So it's like the evening time in the US. So I wanted to do this stream to kind of see what the difference is how many people actually have online doing it this time of the evening versus the mornings. So we'll see. Car guy noob says his drink of choice today was red wine. I'm not really a wine drinker. I'm not really a wine drinker. Uh, I I saw that, man. I saw that the Grand Tour is ending. I haven't watched the promo video yet. Kevin, it was. Yeah, that was a great episode. It's unbelievable. Jay Leno's car collection has to be one of the best in the world. Like, it's just unbelievable what he has. Diesel, I have an entire video on my main channel about what happened to that boat. Just go to my YouTube channel. It's like a 30-minute video explaining everything that happened. Oh, nice. Soul is in the house? Yeah, Jay Leno's car collection is just unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable. Knoxville, Tennessee. Nice. I love Knoxville. 1:46 a.m. in New Zealand. Wow. For those that are joining, we are drinking Sangsum. It's like the official go-to Thai whiskey. That's really not a whiskey. It's really, uh, it's really a rum, special rum, 40% alcohol. Yeah, Knoxville's awesome. I love Knoxville. I love Tennessee in general. If things go absolutely terribly wrong for me, and I end up having to move back to the U.S. for one reason or the other, uh, I I would love to live in Tennessee. Love Tennessee. South Africa's in the house. Very nice. Cream pie repairs are moving along, making progress. At this point, we're just waiting on the new suspension. So I'm just my new coilovers are being specced out currently. Then they have to be built and then shipped to Thailand. So that process is probably going to take a month or so. So we're doing what we can with what we have available now, as far as getting the rest of the suspension repaired, as far as like control arms and fixing body work, getting the wheels repaired, and other things like that. While we wait on the coilovers to come in. So yeah, Stagwar. As far as the front lip on the car, the front lip that I have, uh, we can't find one. So we're basically just going to have one made. I'm having a front lip made that is basically the same lip that I was already running. But unfortunately, I couldn't get my hands on one. So we're just making one. Any of my Thai HISO friends ordered a ZR1 yet? Um, I don't know if it's going to be available here. We still haven't got the Z06. I have never seen a C8 Z06 in real life. I've literally never seen a C8 C6. I mean C8 Z06 in my life. Kevin, September 10th, I'll be here. Yeah, I'll be here. September 10th, Kevin. Let me look real quick. Yeah, I'm here all that week, Kevin. Yeah, just hit me up when you arrive, Kevin. I'm in John Tim all that week. First had that at the full moon party in 2008. It was my introduction to Thailand, and I was hooked after 4 weeks. Got back to work. Like, what am I doing with my life? Yeah, JM. Yeah, that happens. I've got an Audi R8 V10 in Sweden, but I'd like to buy a Saab in Thailand. Where to look for one? Facebook Marketplace, 100%. I hate Facebook. The only reason I still have a Facebook account is strictly for the marketplace because people in Thai people just that's how they sell anything and everything from electronics to furniture to cars to car parts. Everyone uses Facebook Marketplace. So if you're looking for a car for sale, just set your location. You can manually change your location of Facebook Marketplace from wherever you currently are to Bangkok and then just search and yeah. Have you ever considered a power adder? I have an Evo with a turbo. Um, my E30 being the last and only naturally aspirated V8 M3 engine. I don't believe in adding forced induction to that car. If you that engine, it's a 4 liter V8 that had a factory 8,600 RPM uh, redline, flat plane crank, factory ITBs. In my opinion, you shouldn't add a turbo or supercharger to that engine. If you want an E30 with a turbo, then you can put an N55 in it. You can put a 2JZ in it. There's lots of things you could do, but like I don't know. I think it's ridiculous to turbocharge an S65 M3 engine. Personally, if I want boost, I have an Evo I can drive. So Stagwar, appreciate the super chat, dude. I don't drink Chang though. I am not a Chang drinker. I don't want a Chang over. No, for real. Chang is probably my least favorite Thai beer. I'm a Leo guy. If I'm going to drink Thai beer, I'm going to drink a Leo. But these days, in all the 7-Elevens, they have, I think it's the Phuket Brewery Company, and they have like nice craft beers in the 7-Elevens now, which is crazy. They're like 85 to 100 baht, so they're like double the price of like a Leo, but it's like a good craft beer. So I've been drinking those when I have been drinking beer. But normally I'm a Leo or a San Miguel Light guy. I like the San Miguel Light if you're like by the beach and it's like really hot outside and you're like, especially during the day, it's more of a like tropical beer. But normally I like Leo. Pootie Tang is trying to make Thai fried rice. Man, yeah, good luck. What you need to do, Pootie Tang, is get on Facebook and try to search for Facebook groups of like Thai people in your town. And like, so there should be like a Facebook group of like, I don't know where you are, but there should be or if you're near a big city, there'll be a Facebook group with Thai people that are in that city. Like, it's got like an expat page, but go on there and ask them for recommendation for a really good local Thai restaurant. JM says, I remember before I ever went to Thailand, I knew some guys who lived there, and they said with 100% certainty that in the day they used to spike Sangsum with amphetamines. Yeah, probably. That doesn't. Yeah, I mean, if you've never heard of it before, look up Yaba, Yaba. Yeah, look up Yaba. It's basically like Thai meth. It's like yeah, it's pills. It's like a pill. They bust people here all the time with like hundreds of thousands of those pills. I had two people asking me about the Philippines. Sean says, Chad, when are you going back to the Philippines? And Harsh says, when are you going back to the Philippines? I'm going, maybe next month. Maybe next month. I'm waiting on my Filipino friend who is building the turbocharged K20 Jeepney to get that build sorted out, and then they're going to let me drive it. I'm going to go and make a YouTube video and drive the built motor turbo K20 Jeepney. So they had it on the dyno Friday, I think. So they're waiting for another tune. So it's going to be a couple weeks. So as soon as they get that Jeepney tuned, sorted, and it's good to go, I'm going to fly to Manila just to go drive that turbo K20 Jeepney. You cannot ship any cars to Thailand. Um, yeah, it's banned. Banned. I agree, Kevin. Indonesian. I can't remember the actual name of the dish, but when I was in Bali, I ate a lot of their chicken and rice, their fried rice and chicken. And it was very good. Why ruin your yaba mixing it with saying some? Yeah, I know. Yeah, yaba. I would love to go to Puerto Rico. That would be awesome. Okay, we almost have 100 in the chat. I was getting worried there for a little bit. So, we also need to figure this out. Because you got the chat here, right? You got the chat. But down here, where the hell am I? Why is my I don't understand. Oh, there I am. Hello. I figured it out. Yeah, I think 1320 video did do some South American drag content. What are your thoughts on this year's Gumball 3000 that's happening this year in Vietnam? Would like to be a part of it. Yeah, man. That's going to be crazy. We've been discussing the Gumball 3000. We've been discussing the Gumball 3000 a lot on this channel. It's coming up in just a couple weeks. I mean, my opinion is they are out of their mind doing it in Southeast Asia in mid-September. It is peak, most worst rainy season. Like that's the worst of rainy season. Um, so it's yeah, man. It's going to be a struggle for them. There's a lot of, but I mean, some people are picking some really good cars. As long as they aren't picking like high horsepower rear wheel drive cars or cream pie BMW E30s. Don't do an E30. Don't do a V8 E30 in the middle of monsoon season with no traction control on our 888 tires. It's not a good idea. Trust me. Anthony, so I'm blocked then? Question mark. I don't think you're blocked. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. The gumball is definitely going to be interesting. I'm going to attempt to go to both their Bangkok location where they set up in Bangkok and then also in Krabi. So I'm going to attempt to try to get a ride from Bangkok to Krabi in one of the cars, but I doubt it's going to happen. So if it doesn't happen, hopefully I can just book a flight and I'll fly to Krabi and hopefully meet them in Krabi as well. So we'll see. Hey mate, any idea on the price range of '04, '05 Corollas and Celicas in Thailand? Looking to pick one up when I move there. Actually, I have no idea what the price on those cars are. They don't have Corollas here, so they have the Altis, which is it's basically a Corolla. But as I told someone else, all you have to do is just get on Facebook Marketplace, change your location from where you're currently at to Bangkok, and search what you want to search for. And yeah, you can check out what the market is for that particular vehicle in Thailand. Yeah, flooding season, exactly. It's not just rainy season, it's monsoon season and flooding season. That's what I'm really worried about is some of these guys that have like a Pagani or something like that, and them getting in an area where it has like it's severely flooded, it's going to be a big problem for them. It's not bad, man. You should make a video about shipping or importing cars to Thailand. It seems like a popular topic that people ask all the time. You get might get a lot of evergreen views. Eric, this is what blows my mind. I have said that you cannot import pre-owned cars into Thailand, that it's completely banned. I've said this in probably 50, 60 different videos. I've said it so many times that people complain that I say it. And the only reason I keep saying it is because people keep asking the question. Maybe they're just new to the channel and this is their first video they watch. But yeah, I've talked about Thailand banning the importation of pre-owned cars and the import duty taxes on new cars in this country so much that people complain about it. They're like, bro, we know, shut the up about it. Like, I've said it so many times that like people get annoyed at me when I say it again. But the only reason I keep saying it is because people keep asking the question. With the change in driver attitude in Thailand, is it safe to travel around or best just to stay in the resorts at the moment? Change in driver attitude in Thailand. Um, I'm not sure what you're talking about, Kim. I mean, it's safe to travel around Thailand for sure. I wouldn't recommend if you're a tourist, I wouldn't recommend you coming here renting a car and driving yourself around Thailand. That's stupid. The price of uh Grab, which is like our Uber, and taxis and buses and flights and ferries is so cheap. There's absolutely no reason for you to come here as a tourist on a vacation holiday, whatever you call it, and drive rent a car and drive yourself around. It makes no sense. Um, because it is chaotic driving here, and you can get like a really nice car with a driver for so cheap that it's just like it doesn't make sense. Stagwar, correct. Yeah, what Stagwar said, safe to travel to Thailand, just get a driver. Soul soon, man. Love to see cream pie video on the roads to pie. That is happening as soon as once the car is completed, it's getting new coilovers, proper suspension set up, and it will finally be going to pie. Finally. I heard in vlogs that many YouTubers like DDE, Mr. JWW have lost track of their cars while being shipped for Gumball. Man, yeah, I've heard that too. I don't know if that's like real or if it's just like clickbait or like what that is, but I mean, hopefully, hopefully, hopefully everything gets sorted for them. Have you ever seen a Golf R32 at Thai car meets? I have not. No. Um, have I? Definitely not. I've seen one or two Golf R's. like the Mark 7 Golf R. I've seen a couple of those, but they're very rare. A Golf R32 with like the VR6, never seen one in Thailand. I don't think one exists here. Poorly Buffalo, what are the bolt grab waiting times in BKK during peak times? That can be an issue. Sometimes you can wait 10 to 15 minutes for your the reason that some I mean it depends on where you are, what part of Bangkok you're in, but you can wait 10 to 15 minutes, even sometimes 20 minutes for your driver to get to you just because they're stuck in traffic. So that's an issue. So, I mean, if you're in Bangkok, you should be riding the BTS SkyTrain system. If you're going to be in Bangkok, you need to be within walking distance of the SkyTrain, and you should be taking the BTS SkyTrain anywhere you go. Now, if you're leaving the Bangkok to go to Pattaya or Hoi An or something like that, and you have a car that's going to pick you up via Grab or Bolt, then, you're just going to have to wait, and try not to travel. By all means, if you're in Bangkok, try your best not to travel during peak times, like, 7 to 10 a.m. and then like, 4 p.m. to like 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Avoid that like the plague. Have you done the Mahon Song loop? Yes, I have. I did the Mahon Song loop on a tiny little 155cc motorbike. But I will be returning back to that area of Thailand probably November in the E30 to drive the E30 from Chiang Mai to Pai. So it can finally go to Pai. Cream pie can finally go to Pai. But I want to wait till the rainy season is over. But I also want to do it before Chiang Mai and Pai gets really, really busy with tourists. So I'm thinking November would be the time to go. Yeah. Stagwar. Facts, man. Yeah, Crad, go watch. If you go to the main CB Media YouTube channel, you can click on playlist, and I have an entire playlist of doing Chiang Mai to Pai to Mae Hong Song to Mae Sering and then back to Chiang Mai. Harsh Patel says, I'm 22 and I'm looking to upgrade to some newer car, something that is fun to drive, but also somewhat fuel efficient at the same time. Obviously, manual. Can you suggest? Um, GT86 or GR86, if you can afford it, is very, very difficult to beat. Those cars are very, very difficult to beat. Um, yeah, I was going to say 350Z. 350Z is also really good, but 350Z doesn't get great fuel mileage, but obviously it's better than a Mustang or a Camaro. 350Z, GT86 or GR86. Um, what else? Yeah, Civic Type R, GTI, Volkswagen GTI is a good one. Yeah. How's a seahorse on a stick? I've never had a seahorse. I've had scorpion, fried snake, all sorts of bugs. I've ate all sorts of bugs, but is it still good to visit Pitchabun during the rainy season where you traveled on your bike? I also took my E30 to Pitchabun as well. Pitchabun is. I'm not sure how bad the rainy season is up there. You can go to holidayweather.com and you can put in Pitchabun and it'll show you the average rainfall per month and you can see how bad it is. But I've only been to Pitchabun like during dry season. but it's beautiful up there. What is happening with the chat stream? What is happening with the chat stream? What is happening? Is something happening? Am I missing something? Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely cream pie. I'm definitely taking cream pie for the. I'm not gonna do the full Mei Hong song loop. I'm just gonna do Chiang Mai to pie. But I also want to go to the Nan province, so I might do that as well. But I'm not gonna do the full loop. Um, I'm just gonna do Chiang Mai to pie. JM says my biggest turnoff is having a Thai bird at the end of the night get a bag of bugs and start eating them just before the business. Real buzz killer, pardon the pun. I mean, dude, birds eat bugs. So, birds eat bugs. So, yeah. I promise you, she's probably had worse things in her mouth than those bugs. So, it's true. I've only had that much whiskey. So, nah, I don't really make that many videos with my Evo. Uh it's kind of boring. It's kind of boring. I keep going back and forth if I want to sell the car or if I took the for sale ad down, and I've never seen Thai people buying the bugs, only Farangs. No, I mean the Thai girls, you only see Farangs eating scorpion, but like the fried grasshoppers and the like crickets and stuff. Oh, dude, Thai girls eat those things all the time. I think chicken feet are worse than eating bugs. I agree. Dan says I eat the bugs with them. I have as well. But yeah, the reason I don't make many videos with the Evo is just it's boring. I go back and forth at whether I want to sell it or not. I took the for sale ad down, and I have been driving it, but it's just boring. It really needs like cams and up the boost and down pipe and like full bolt-ons and like fuel injectors, and it'll turn it from 250 horsepower to like 250 wheel horsepower to like 350 wheel horsepower. It desperately needs another 100 horsepower. Desperately. Evo is too safe to drive. It's just boring. It's just it doesn't make enough horsepower. You modify the engine after repair to get more horsepower to cream pie? No, no, no. No. Leaving the engine alone. That car doesn't. The E30 makes enough horsepower. The E30 makes a perfect amount of horsepower. The Evo desperately needs another 100 horsepower. You showed us how expensive Thailand can be and how cheap Thailand. You showed us how expensive Thailand can be. How cheap can Thailand be for someone who doesn't drink or smoke? Um, I mean, I really don't. I don't think I really show you guys how really super expensive Thailand can be. Um, my place that I live in is not crazy expensive. My place that I live in is, less than $500 a month. Uh, I mean, I have a couple okay like nice cars, but even my E30, you can buy a BMW E30 here, not one like mine, but you can buy a BMW E30 here for like 10,000 US dollars. Um, but Thailand can be very cheap. You can get a good studio apartment here, like a good studio condo for 200 to $250 a month. If you don't drink or you don't smoke, um, you can eat good Thai food for, $5 a meal. Um, I mean, yeah. Is there any way to add TCS to cream pie for the future? Uh, you could add traction control to that car, but the only way it could be done is I would have to switch. I'm not sure if my M-Tron ECU might have traction control, but you have to have like wheel sensors and all sorts of stuff. I mean, it doesn't need traction control. It's my right foot is normally enough traction control. I mean, I normally have the car handled. It's just under that situation, it was pouring rain, and I was dumb. I should have just called a tow truck, and I didn't. And it is what it is. Is the Evo a total rebuild? I had a mate who had a brand new Evo. Seemed to pack a punch. Yeah, I'm just spoiled, man. I'm just spoiled when it comes to high horsepower cars. Uh, the Evo just has coilovers, wheel spacers, HKS exhaust, and like a stereo system. That's it. That's stock intake, stock boost levels, stock. It just has an exhaust. That's it. Do I have do I have any contacts in Japan who can get into the any of the famous builders like Spoon? Um, I took a trip to Japan before I started YouTube Stagwar. I spent 2 months in Japan. So I went to RE. I went to RE. I went to Wonder Car Modify. I went to a bunch of famous places in Japan. I went there to photograph the shops for Super Street Magazine. So I actually do have some pretty good connections in Japan, actually. When do when you do pie, get up early to avoid all the traffic. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. When I go to pie, it's going to be midweek. It's going to be midweek where there's least amount of traffic as possible. And I'm going to try to go before peak tour season as well. Evil Twin. Yes, technically what we are drinking is technically a whiskey. Here, I mean, technically it's a rum. Here they call this, it's like one of the most famous Thai whiskeys. They call it Thai whiskey here, but as you can see on the bottle, it says right there that it's actually rum. So, I never even know it said rum there. I just figured that out tonight. Cheers. I had an E36M Sport in Thailand. I paid 100,000 baht. The best deals when it comes to fun rear-wheel drive cars in Thailand are BMWs. The BMW E30, E36, and E46. When it comes to bang for your buck for fun rear-wheel drive cars, nothing beats the BMWs. Except for a Safiro. I thought it was whiskey for years. Yeah, dude. I literally found out tonight that it's rum. I had no idea. Everybody says sang some whiskey. It's like a whiskey and coke. And yeah, it says rum on the label. I had no idea. When we were doing my last live stream when I was in Bangkok, we watched Doug DeMiro's top 10 most undervalued cars. And for Thailand, 100%, the most undervalued cars in Thailand are the classic BMWs. Chad, how's Samsung compared to Johnny Walker? Oh, Jamerson. Um, I mean, it's okay. I mean, I think Kevin, I think this. I mean, for what it costs, dude, this bottle, this is $4.50, dude. This is $4.50 for this. That's crazy. I mean, I you know, I don't think you should probably drink it straight. I think that'd probably be a bad idea to drink it straight. But for like a mixed drink, for like, you know, I'm mixing it with Coke Zero. That's not too bad. I don't know. I mean, ask me how I feel tomorrow. Kevin, ask me how I feel tomorrow and I'll let you know. But when we were watching that video in Bangkok, what's up, Liverpool in the house? When we were watching that video in Bangkok about Doug DeMiro's most undervalued cars, I had another video that I wanted to watch with you guys. So these days, a lot of times I'll see something on YouTube and I'll just put it in my watch later folder so I can watch it with you guys because it's something that I think is interesting that I also think you think will be interesting. And so Wayne says, why do you say BMWs are bang for your buck in Thailand? Aren't imports expensive with the 300% tax? Those BMWs, the E30, E36, and E46, came into Thailand before that import duty tax was put in place. So they were never taxed when they were brought in like that. That was before that law existed. So a ton of them came into the country. So there's a ton of them here. So yeah, so they're just everywhere. They're just there's a lot of them here. There's lots of parts, lots of stuff. Trainer B says seen many Russians on walking streets sitting outside 7-Eleven getting smashed on Sangsum. I hate to think how bad the hangovers are. Well, ask me tomorrow. Good morning from West Coast Canada. 9 days until the big move to Bangkok. Congrats, man. Congrats. You're welcome, Wayne. So there's a video that I wanted to watch with you guys that I thought was going to be super interesting. So, my very first, there's lots of people in the chat that are very much OGs to the CB Media YouTube channel. And for those that don't know, my very first motorbike tour series on this channel, when I was just still trying to figure out what I was going to do on this channel, and I had just a couple thousand subscribers. My very first motorbike tour was to the Golden Triangle, which is where Laos, Myanmar, and Thailand meet. And it was a very, very interesting experience because For those that don't know, the Golden Triangle is notorious for one thing, and that's producing heroin. Uh, it was the second largest manufacturer for heroin in the world outside of like Iraq or something, like all through the 70s and 80s. And it was basically controlled by mafia. And it was like a lawless zone. Like when I did the Golden Triangle motorbike tour, when I left from Chiang Mai. When I finally arrived at the Golden Triangle, they had an entire museum there that was dedicated toward heroin. And for some reason, this video, I've always been fascinated by that region, just because I think it's very interesting because it's three different countries which meet at one point, and one country would be in charge of the manufacturing or the growing the drugs. Another would be in responsible for the process of turning it into like actual like heroin powder. And then another country would be their job would be transporting it, and it would go all over the world. And this video popped up a few days ago. It's from Bloomberg, and it's called "How One Man Rules Asian's Golden Triangle." And I have been wanting to watch this video for a very long time, but I wanted to watch it with you guys because, yeah, it's going to be pretty wild. How One Man Rules Asian's Golden Triangle. I haven't seen the video, but I do know a lot about this region. I've personally been there. So, yeah, let's check it out.
The Golden Triangle Special Economic Zone is an enormous center for criminal activity of all kinds. Drug trafficking, human trafficking, and scam operations.
Victims have been mostly deceived by online ads promising career opportunities abroad with good pay.
They keep my passport when I arrive in the lost land. And after that, they teach me how to become a scammer. I work here.
So these days, the Golden Triangle has actually changed a lot. Where in the 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s, the main product of the Golden Triangle was opiates, was heroin. These days, it's a very strange place. There's like special economic zones that are put in place that are built and funded by like these like Chinese like mafia members, where they have these buildings and they have all these casinos, and there's a lot of human trafficking going on. There's a lot of the reason they traffic these people is to set them up in call centers, and the purpose of the call centers is to scam people. It's an insane thing that this exists, like in public, completely open. There's huge buildings that all these people in these buildings have basically been kidnapped, and they're held hostage, scamming people from all around the world. And because it's so corrupt, they just allow it to happen, and it's wild. Like I've seen YouTube videos where people will make their way into these special economic zones. Everyone speaks Chinese. Everything operates off Chinese currency. It is a wild place, and probably not a place that you really want to go around asking a bunch of questions. So it's yeah.
Building.
One man allegedly controls this transnational crime hub. Chinese national Zhao Wei.
Zhao Wei is in charge. He sets the rules, and Chinese organized crime groups have become some of the most powerful criminal networks, both in Southeast Asia and beyond.
Laos is a communist country with close ties to the Chinese Communist Party. So China has dramatically more influence in Laos than, say, the United States. The big question here is whether China eventually decides they want to put a stop to this or not. One of the mysteries here is China's attitude to Zhao Wei.
So it was very weird. At one point, when I was doing my Golden Triangle motorbike tour series, this was during COVID, right? No, wait, no, it wasn't. No, never mind. It wasn't during COVID. But anyway, when I was doing my Golden Triangle motorbike tour series, I would see multiple Rolls-Royce, Bentleys, like really, really nice, super high-end luxury, like AMG S classes, all with Lao plates, right? And they'd be driving over the border into Thailand constantly. I'm on a little 150cc motorbike in the middle of nowhere, and I look and I'm like, oh, there's a Bentley randomly, like driving down a dirt road with a Lao plate on it. And it's like, what is this doing here? Like, who is this, right? So I'm fascinated by this stuff.
They seem to be overall somewhat tolerant of him.
So who is Jia Wei, and why is an alleged crime boss allowed to run this place like his personal kingdom?
Golden Triangle's changed a lot, man. I mean, I'm sure there's still drug manufacturing going on.
So we're here near the Burmese border in far northern Thailand, following a unit of the Thai army who are patrolling these woods, as they do frequently, looking for drug traffickers.
So you said this was the Thai army.
The Thai army, they find large volumes of drugs coming over the border just about every week, particularly methamphetamines.
What we were just talking about earlier, somebody said something about Thai people putting methamphetamines in sangsum. So what they're going to be talking about here mostly is they're going to be talking about yaba. So yaba is the Golden Triangle. What it became infamous for was heroin production. But these days, I think it's mostly methamphetamine production, yaba pills, and then also the scam centers, the scam call centers as well.
In the videos that we received from the Thai military, we can see army officers trying to secure the northern border of Thailand that it shares with Laos and Myanmar. Sometimes during these patrols, they will have to confront with drug traffickers.
A record 169 tons of methamphetamines was seized in Southeast Asia last year. 82% of that came from the three countries that make up the Golden Triangle: Myanmar, Laos, and Thailand. And at the very heart of it lies the Golden Triangle Special Economic Zone, also known as the GTSEZ. Meth trafficking has exploded across the region in recent years. It's commonly packaged in tea packets, with the GTSEZ in Laos acting as a perfect location for storage and distribution.
There's been, over the past couple years, I've lost track of how many times that like massive, like world record breaking sizes of like shipments of meth that have been like intercepted going into Australia that all originated from the Golden Triangle area.
If you do want to get large quantities of drugs out of Southeast Asia, you do often have to go through Thailand. It is the most internationally connected of the countries in mainland Southeast Asia. The Thai government over the years has tried to stop drug shipments coming over Thailand's borders, particularly with Myanmar and Laos.
But you know, corruption is a thing.
ในการปราบปรามขยายผลเรายังสามารถที่จับกุมยาบ้าได้ถึง121 ล้านเม็ดเศษนะครับ
See what he's saying here? 121 million meth tablets. So that's how they manufacture meth here. Is they manufacture it into tablets, not like powder.
ไอโซน่าประมาณ 1,890 กิโลกรัมนะครับเฮโรอีนประมาณ231 กิโลกรัมแล้วก็ฝิ่นก็ประมาณ188 กิโลกรัม
The self-governing GTSEZ was founded by Jia Wei, who's been called out by U.S. authorities for his alleged involvement in trafficking drugs from Myanmar.
过去都说金三角毒害人，是吧？那么现在经过我们共同努力，是吧？ 这个地方变成这个经济、金融这个各方面都发展的一个地区，就容纳不了这些
JM
作
correct.
水，这个毒品它就在这形成不了了。
These criminal groups have focused on a full range of criminal markets. That includes narcotics, it includes precursor chemicals, it includes human trafficking, as well as online scamming.
Crypto slaves are spent working around the clock sending these spam text messages to you. And it turns out the messages are mainly sent by people in Southeast Asia who are themselves victims of human trafficking.
We have very clear public statements from law enforcement bodies, including the United States Treasury Department, which enforces sanctions, saying very emphatically that what is going on here is not legal. What we saw, and what indeed the Thai military are able to do, is really a relatively small effort in the context of the overall drug trade.
At the center of the GTSEZ is the King's Romans Casino.
These casinos play an important role in capital flight and illicit financial transfers. They are, of course.
My opinion is most likely probably these casinos. If you don't know, gambling is illegal in Thailand, so there's no casinos in Thailand. Now, they have been talking about opening a casino in Pattaya, but I don't know if they're actually going to do it or not. But my opinion is probably these casinos are just money laundering, basically. So look at this, guys. That is me at the Golden Triangle. So right behind me is the Mekong River, and that is where Thailand, Myanmar, and Laos meet. So not the best photo, but it's still a very, very cool photo regardless.
According to tons of different law enforcement agencies, critical nodes for how criminal organizations launder the proceeds of illegal activities into the legitimate financial system.
A lot of the drug money gets laundered through the casinos, and some argue that that is in fact,
I haven't
one of the
watched
key reasons as to why the zone was established in the first place. This is something that the UN Office on Drugs and Crime has documented over the years in quite some detail.
แต่ทางที่มองคือมองว่ามันคาสิโนนี้มันก็จะเป็นลักษณะว่า
Hold, please. Okay, I'm back. Somebody says, shh, I'm listening to you in church. Bruh. Stagwar. No, I really don't get out and skate that much anymore. I really don't have a place to skate here. When I lived in Bang San, I used to go skate at the walkway all the time in Bang San. Wild Wind. See you later, dude. I used to go skate at the walkway on the beach in Bang San all the time. Just go cruise. Do not pour whiskey on your keyboard, Chad. Oh, that was a big pour. Almost halfway done with the bottle. Oy. Gary. Sing some. Not drinking Hong Tong. I am drinking Sang Sum. My Thai friend gave it to me as a welcome back to Thailand present. Welcome back to Thailand. Here's a bottle of Sang Sum. And it's been sitting in my freezer for like 3 weeks. Because I normally drink Johnny Walker. But I am drinking Sang Sum tonight because when in Rome.
ลูกค้าส่วนหนึ่งก็เข้าไปเล่นการพนันต่างๆจะใช้เป็นการที่รวมกลุ่มการติดต่อประสานงานกันได้ครับ
But Zhao Wei denies any involvement with the drug business.
Of course
Zhao Wei
he does.
very much leans into the image and the role of a venerated leader in the Golden Triangle Special Economic Zone. On the YouTube channels that are associated with the zone, we see videos of Zhao inaugurating a very lavish ceremony of the Tokyo International Airport being opened. And we see him rubbing shoulders with senior Laos government officials.
In 2007, he reached a deal with the Lao government to create the Golden Triangle Special Economic Zone. He was given a 99-year lease on about 39 square miles of territory, and the terms of the deal essentially put him in charge of this patch of the country.
Did you guys hear that? So, this Chinese guy got a 99-year lease.
Ostensibly, it is a legitimate tourism and commercial project designed to bring development to this poor part of Laos. His companies publish these very glossy brochures for prospective investors in the GTSEZ. It's like looking at the annual report of a Fortune 500 company.
Zhao Wei is from northern China originally. He spent a significant amount of time in the late 90s, early 2000s, first in Macau and then in northern Myanmar. And his main focus there was the casino business, later pivoting to align quite closely with an ethnic armed organization in northern Myanmar known as the National Democratic Alliance Army, or the Hmong Law Army. It's no coincidence that many of the labor, the security forces inside of the zone also come from northern Myanmar.
Something happened that really gave Zhao Wei a clear path to dominating this region. The Mekong murders were attacks in 2011 on 2 Chinese cargo vessels in the Mekong. 13 sailors were killed. There was this huge manhunt supported by China in the Golden Triangle, which led ultimately to the arrest of a warlord, a local strongman named Na Cam. He was extradited to China and ultimately executed. The elimination of Na Cam kind of sets Zhao Wei up for enormous success that he's been able to achieve since. In his telling, he is a legitimate businessman who, if anything, has been driving drug trafficking out of the Golden Triangle.
如果我能把这个地区建设起来，让老百姓
You know, I don't know this guy, but you would probably think he wants the drug trafficking and drug manufacturing to actually leave the Golden Triangle, because that's what that area is notorious for. And basically it brings heat on that area, and it brings heat on him. And, you know, what's going on with the casinos and the money laundering and, the human trafficking and the scam call centers, like, all of that can be ran low key if people would stop, trafficking meth and heroin. So, but also on the flip side of that, he's obviously like what they call the big boss of this region. If he really wanted to stop it, he could stop it.
脱贫，生活好了还贩毒吗？
In a 2023 interview with Thai media, he said the zone does not allow drug trafficking, human trafficking, and scam operations. He said the U.S. sanctions against him are a geopolitical issue.
因为我就是中国的公司，说白了不还是中美，美国围堵中国的问题吗？
But when you do speak to law enforcement officials who've investigated the GTSEZ and Zhao Wei, they just find these denials laughable.
Of course.
In the view of law enforcement officials, the illegal activity absolutely continue and absolutely remain at the core of the enterprise.
It's the exact same thing as the Pattaya police. Bro, it was just on the news like a couple months ago. The Pattaya police went to Walking Street and they walked down Walking Street and then they made this big whole thing all over the news that we were on Walking Street and we went and inspected all the businesses and there's no prostitution on Walking Street because prostitution is illegal in Thailand. And people went, yeah, right, dude. There's no prostitution on Walking Street? Okay, sure, buddy. If that's what you need to say to save face, then go for it. This is the exact same thing.
I spoke to an Indonesian woman who we're going to call Siti to protect her identity. And she had a story of being trafficked into the SEZ. So she saw a job ad on Facebook. She was promised a role working in graphics for computer games.
They pay for everything until I arrived in Laos, and after that, everything changed.
Shortly after she arrived, her passport was taken away. She was in a building that was locked. You couldn't leave without a special access card. And her job was to hang out on dating apps, Tinder, Badoo, things like that, befriend lonely American men, get them to trust her. Around the pandemic, there started to be reports of the emergence of these scam centers. It wasn't just in the GTSEZ. There are a few other places around Asia that became known as scamming hubs.
There's a lot in Chinookville,
We identified
Cambodia.
64 billion US dollars per year were stolen by these Chinese origin criminal syndicates operating both in Southeast Asia as well as elsewhere around the world. You now have hundreds of industrial scale compounds where people are engaged in very elaborate and sophisticated forms of online scamming that we would refer to as pig butchering scams. The scammer builds a relationship of trust with the victim.
I need to have sad story for meet the guy in online chatting.
The perpetrator then tricks the individual into downloading some type of a cryptocurrency trading app, which is completely under the control of the scam syndicate.
They have the application to give you profit, like 1,000, 2,000. Then after that, you put more, until you put all of your money.
Once the perpetrator senses that the victim has really put everything in that they have,
Because
they'll go in and slaughter the victims. And this is why it's called pig butchering.
100,000 more is not on us hand anymore, it's on the boss.
I've seen some videos and photographs of the inside of these scam centers.
And the thing is, especially during COVID, when there was a bunch of dudes that were just like stuck in the US, UK, Australia, whatever, and they were stuck there and they were lonely and they just wanted to talk to girls. Man, so many people got scammed by this stuff just because they were so desperate just to talk to like a girl that they got roped into this stuff and they got scammed out of life savings because they were thinking with the wrong head. They were thinking with their little head and not their big head.
They look like totally normal offices. This is a white-collar technology industry with a few important differences. One is that most of the workers are effectively prisoners. Another is that if you fail to hit your targets, you might be beaten up or you might be locked in a room without food for a week, which is what happened to two people we spoke to for this story.
This is wild, bro.
The Thai locals we spoke to seem to have mixed feelings about the Golden Triangle Special Economic Zone. They can go there for legal gambling, which is not something that they can do in Thailand.
What law enforcement, whether...
So what they were saying is the main reason people go to this economic zone is the fact that gambling is legal there. And basically what the casinos are, I mean, that's basically the cover for all the other stuff that goes on behind the scenes, basically.
Whether in the US or Thailand or anywhere else, keep running into is the sovereignty problem. The basic rule of international relations is the FBI or the DEA or the Thai police or the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime cannot do anything in a country that doesn't want them doing it.
The most evident example of Lao government's support for Zhao Wei is the fact that they hold a 20% stakes in the Golden Triangle Special Economic Zone.
There is one country that almost certainly could do a great deal to change how things happen in the GTSEZ, and that's China. Laos is effectively a Chinese client state. There are huge amounts of development assistance that come from China every year. This is an area that China views as strategic, and if criminal actors can be useful in those pursuits, China is perfectly willing to at least turn a blind eye to their activities, if not in some cases partner with them. But that doesn't mean that if the tide shifts or China views its interests as changing, it won't turn on Zhao Wei. So for now, this place is going to continue to expand, and from the perspective of law enforcement in Asia and beyond, it will continue to be a very big problem.
Thousands of trafficked victims still remain trapped with no rescue in sight. As for Sidi, her nightmare is far from over.
I'm still scary because last year my friends say like they keep looking for me.
Yeah, sure, right, buddy. So here's the thing, just because they ban something, just because something is illegal, doesn't mean that it's going to be enforced. You know, again, you know, prostitution is illegal in Thailand. So is speeding. Like, you can't drive past the speed limit in Thailand. And yeah, people every single day drive way past the speed limit, including me, because it's not enforced. You know what I'm saying? This is fascinating, man. This really is fascinating. This is such an interesting area of the world. And like I said, you know, I've been there. Like, I've even went to, this is like from the they have a museum there that's all, it's like the heroin museum. So these are like heroin pipes that they used to use back in the day to smoke heroin. It's pretty wild. Stagar says, I'm a fraud investigator for my job. The amount of pig butchering scams we encounter is crazy. Yeah, man. And people fall for it, you know? The fact that scamming is legal in Laos, though. Is it legal? Is it actually legal? I mean, it's... I don't know if it's legal, but it's definitely not, you know, things aren't enforced the way they should be. Because, I mean, as they said in that video, even the Lao government has, they own 20% stake in that economic zone. So the Lao government themselves are making money off of everything that happens within that economic zone. They have a 20% stake in that area. So it's just crazy, man. It's a crazy place to be. And it was super cool to go there. You know, during the day, I mean, it just felt like a normal little tourist town. It was, you know, the Golden Triangle is where 3 countries meet. There's very few places in the world where 3 different countries meet at one point. It's like a very rare thing on a global scale. So, so it's very touristy. I mean, you have tons of tour bus full of Chinese tourists up there to go see the Golden Triangle, to go take photos, and there's museums and a whole bunch of stuff up there to do. But, you know, during the day it felt normal. Felt like a little tiny tourist town. But, you know, I'm sure at night and out into the outskirts of, you know, the area where there's, you know, a lot more seedy stuff going down, if that makes sense. Appreciate you, Rob. Thanks, man. $114 people in the chat. What is up, guys? If you're just getting here, please let me know where you're checking in from. It's always cool to see and hear from people kind of all over the world. And if you are just getting here, we are drinking Sangsum Thai whiskey, which, come to find out, is not actually Thai whiskey. It's actually a rum. I had no idea. But anyway, that's what we're doing tonight. Chad, you say Thailand is safe, but the amount of songs I hear being murdered every night makes me think otherwise. What is the worst song you've heard being butchered? Oh, man. Yeah, I've heard some very bad Metallica. I've heard some really, really rough Metallica. You know, some of like the pop songs and stuff, if they have like the Thai accent, it can be kind of funny or cute. But if it's like, you know, like Metallica, it's like, it hurts. A lot of the really good live, most of the live music bars that I go to in Thailand mostly end up having Filipino bands, which are great. Oh my God, the Filipino bands here are fantastic. Stagwar says, Chad, we know what type of music you listen to when you go to live bars, but when you're just driving around, what kind of music do you like? When I'm driving my E30, I don't have a radio in my E30 at all. I don't have a radio in that car at all because the engine. I have this. That is my radio for my E30. So when I'm riding on my E30, I normally listen to an S65 M3 V8. That's what I normally listen to. If I'm in my Evo, I either listen to, I'm a huge fan of, so being from Atlanta, obviously I grew up around a lot of hip hop, but I also grew up listening to a lot of, like EDM. So this guy, I'm a huge fan of this dude. Hold up. Switch you back over here. This guy, Ryan Celsius Sounds. And especially like his Trapping in Japan series. It's like hip hop, but it's like EDM hip hop essentially. So especially if I'm driving long distances, like if I'm just driving from like Pattaya to Bangkok and I'm just kind of just hitting the road, like, and I'm just like vibing, driving, like I'll listen to this. Like I love this stuff. And it does have like a, it does have, like, he takes like the vocals from like hip hop songs and mixes it in here, and I really enjoy this. But, you know, I also grew up listening to like punk rock, Rancid, No Effects, but like I love that guy's stuff. Like if I'm just like if I'm jumping in the car 2 hours to Bangkok, I'll put that on, crank it up, and just rip to Bangkok. But you know, I grew up listening to a lot of like punk rock, like No Effects, Rancid, like very old school, like Blink 182, stuff like that when I was just like a skater kid. Um, and then I got in kind of like hardcore scene a little bit as far as music. But being from Atlanta, you just can't escape hip hop being from Atlanta. Growing up around Outkast, Goody Mob, Little John, all that type of stuff. Um, yeah, so Ivan says, "What's up, bro? You need to listen to Russian hard bass. I'll check it out, man." Oh, you're in the Philippines. Oh yeah, I remember last time you said you were in Manila. Came back 2 days ago. Philippines was great. Yeah, Philippines is great. I'm gonna go back to the Philippines next month, I think. I'm waiting on my buddy. Um, if you like punk, check out Shelby Tigers out of St. Paul. Okay. Rancid and No Effect sounds perfect for a road trip late at night. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, I mean, also like Rage Against the Machine. I grew up in like the new metal age when like Korn first came about, stuff like that. But I mean, a lot of times I just listen to hip hop. I'm from Atlanta, so I grew up around it all. It is what it is. Uh, Ivan. So I'm waiting on my buddy. He has built this. The hip hop. I'm from Atlanta, so I grew up around. So they haven't finished up the tuning on this car yet. They tried the other day. It's a Jeepney with a turbocharged, built motor turbocharged K20. So as soon as they finish that, Ivan, then I'm going back to the Philippines because they're gonna let me drive that thing. So that should be quite interesting. Driving a Jeepney with a 500 horsepower built turbo K20 in it. Um, oh shit. So that should be pretty interesting. Yeah, it's one of the OTJs, the Jeepneys. Yeah, Makati's great, man. Yeah. Yeah, Makati's cool. I don't know if I can live there long term, Ivan. It's just the value's not that good there. What you pay for hotels and condos and food, everything is twice the cost for half the value. Except for cars. Except for cars. Cars there are way cheaper there than they are here. And you get a lot of cars there that you can't get here. You can get like Corvette Z06s, you can get, Camaros, you can get Hellcats, you can get a lot of stuff in the Philippines that you can't get here. Sick of it all is one of my favorites. Yeah, Sick of it all is sick. Except for Angeles City, you didn't care for that much care too much for that area. Yeah, I hate Angeles City. It's terrible. Beastie Boys, I love Beastie Boys as well. Yeah. Yeah, I like the Philippines a lot, but I think the Philippines is a place that I will visit multiple times a year. I don't know if I'm going to live there. I don't know if I can live there full time. That's one reason that yeah, rent is more expensive there. Restaurant food is fine, same price as here. Not talking about street food. The problem, Ivan, is this. So we had this conversation. It did feel really sketch in some areas, though. Yeah, definitely. The Philippines, you have to stay in your bubbles, right? You have to stay in your bubbles. Um, you know, Makati, BGC, Rockwell, that type of stuff. Once you get out of those bubbles, it does feel sketchy. The thing about street food, though, is this, Ivan. Like today, here in John TM, I went and had lunch, and I had fried rice, chicken with an egg, and a Sprite, and it was 90 baht. So it's like $2.50 for lunch today. My lunch was $2.50. And what you get for $2.50 in the Philippines to have lunch, you're going to shit your brains out for 3 days. Like it's not clean. It's not safe. It's also not, the food isn't really that good. So, yeah, I mean, but I love the Philippines. I mean, I go there multiple times a year. But my biggest issues is the quality of condos and hotels you get for the price. And every meal you have to eat high end to be safe. So you don't get food poisoning, so you don't get sick. You gotta eat like high end every meal. Me typically, what I do as far as eating, as far as my meals go, for breakfast, I normally have fruit. I normally have an apple or a banana, something like that, and like a protein shake. And then for lunch, I always eat like a good cheap Thai meal for lunch. I have pad kerpow. Like, here's my Instagram story today, right? My lunch today. Oh, it was yesterday I had fried rice and chicken. Yesterday I had fried rice and chicken. Today I had pad kerpow. So that and a Sprite was 90 baht, $2.80. And then for dinner, I normally spend a little bit more on dinner, and I normally spend, like $10 to get a good meal for dinner. So I eat like fruit for breakfast, I eat like a cheap Thai meal for lunch, and I eat like a really good Thai meal, or I eat Western food for dinner. But in the Philippines, that cheap Thai meal, that $3 meal, it doesn't really exist. I mean, you can get it, but it's a much higher possibility of getting food poisoning or getting sick or just not being a really good meal. Yeah. But despite saying all that, I love the Philippines. I love the Philippines. Like, I'm going back next month. So, yeah, I plan to spend, despite all of that, despite all of that shit talk I just did, I'm going back to the Philippines next month. So, it is what it is, Correct. Ivan said I was just eating in good restaurants there. Wouldn't risk the street food. 100%, bro. Yeah, you go there, you're going to eat at good restaurants. You're going to eat good high-end restaurants every single meal. New diet idea. Go to the Philippines and shit my brains out for like a month. Yeah, you will lose weight there. Yeah. I've told people this before. I think the Philippines is the most expensive place in Southeast Asia, outside of Singapore, obviously, outside of Singapore. Hidden Valley Springs, cool. I'll check it out, man. I'll check it out. I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna be back next month, as long as they get that jeepney sorted out. The jeepney is in Cavite, in Emus, Cavite. So like 2 hours south. Oh man, I missed that super chat. My bad, bro. Hold up. Bosho, do you have a PC or laptop? I have a laptop. I have an Asus Zephyrus G15 with the i9 processor. I can't remember how much RAM. I mean, it was a very expensive laptop. It was like a $2,000 laptop here in Thailand, but it's a monster of a laptop. I bought it like 2 years ago. Kevin with the $50 super chat. Dude, Kevin, 2 super chats in one live stream? Have a great lunch or dinner on me. Suggestion, would love to see a reaction video of you reacting to Eddie Van Halen Eruption live guitar solo if possible. Got to bail. Have a blessed day. Kevin, you're bailing. Have a great day. Next live stream, remind me, and we'll do that on live. I would do it right now, but you got to go. I'm sure you got shit to do. Handle your business. Next live stream, we'll do it. Next live stream. I got you. I've never seen that. I've never seen Eruption live guitar solo. But for the Philippines, nature is amazing and beaches are nicer than Thailand. Man, I've been to the Philippines, I don't know, 5 or 6 times now. You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? I've been to the Philippines 5 or 6 times. I've never put my feet on sand in the Philippines. I've never been to a beach in the Philippines. I've been 5 or 6 times. I've spent months of my life, like I've spent probably close to 6 months of my life in the Philippines. And I have never touched sand the entire time I've been there. I know, it's fucking terrible, dude. Terrible. Terrible. Like, one of the best things about the Philippines is how amazing the beaches are. They're supposed to be like, I mean, they're literally voted #1 and #2 best beaches in the world year in, year out, every single year for like a decade. And I've never touched sand there. Never touched sand. Every time I go, I go to Manila. I go to Manila. Oops, Van Halen. Yeah, of course. Yeah, we knew what you're talking about, Kevin. Next live stream. Next live stream. 100%. Remind me, Kevin. Remind me on the next live stream. Ivan. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. My entire time that I've spent in the Philippines has mostly been in Manila. And unfortunately, Angeles, because that's where their racetrack is. And then I did spend a month in Cebu. I rented an apartment in IT Park for a month in Cebu. I got a condo there for a month and stayed there just to check it out. So, best eats in Bangkok. Robbie, what are you looking for? Because you didn't specify, I'm going to give you a recommendation for American barbecue. The Smoking Pug. The Smoking Pug for American barbecue in Bangkok, since you didn't specify. So, yeah, man, for this live stream, we're drinking Thai whiskey that is actually Thai rum. Surprisingly, I didn't know. And yeah, we're just hanging out. Smoking Pug. That's my recommendation, Robbie. Yeah, 100%. Saved. Dude, it's the bomb. So we watched one video that was called How One Man Rules the Golden Triangle. I have a couple other videos that I do want to watch with you guys because, well, they're videos that I just want to watch. And I'm going to watch them, and you're going to watch them with me while I drink Sangsum and Coke. And because, well, that's what we're just doing tonight. So the next one we have up is also from one of my favorite YouTube channels. A lot of people ask me about what my personal favorite YouTube channels are. And man, I watch some weird stuff. I watch some stuff that's really off the wall. Ivan, I have no recommendations for a ramen shop in Pattaya. If you find a good ramen shop, please let me know. If you want the best car wash in Pattaya, hands down, if anybody's in Pattaya, without a doubt, the best car wash in Pattaya is Gloss Line. Glossline. Gloss Line Pattaya. Any of you guys that are in Patia, if you have a nice car, if you're a custom car or just your daily driver, Gloss Line is hands down the best car wash in Patia. Anyway, so another YouTube channel that I absolutely love is this channel, and it is called My Old Car. And this is an automotive YouTube channel that specializes in talking about weird, obscure, strange, unique old cars. Now, there's a possibility I might lose. We currently have 100 people in the chat. There's a possibility we might lose a lot of viewers on this video. But I don't give a shit. Because it takes a very weird, unique type of car person to enjoy this type of content. But I just enjoy learning about really unique vehicles, especially ones that were manufactured and sold during the time that, I was alive, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And My Old Car, this channel only has 98,000 subscribers. It's not a huge channel, but I'm a big, big fan of the content that they make. And this video is something that was posted less than 24 hours ago, and it's called 10 Car Rebadge Flops. So, if you don't know what a rebadge is, it's a car that was manufactured by one brand and it's rebadged as a different brand. Something like a Mitsubishi Eclipse and an Eagle Talon. An Eagle Talon, Eagle was an American brand that took a Mitsubishi Eclipse and they rebadged it to sell under the American brand. And this video is 10 rebadged flops. It's a very weird, very niche, specific car video, but I want to watch it. And, well, that means you're going to watch it with me. Or you can leave the live stream. It's up to you. What is this? Bro, what is that doing a burnout? What is that? What kind of car is that? The Plymouth Laser, correct. Stagwar gets it. What is this? Is this a, part of me says it's a Blazer, but it also looks like an old Explorer, right? What is this?
The Cadillac BLS. Design, performance, luxury.
I love this weird
After my
stuff,
first
man.
episode featuring rebadged cars that flopped, I got several suggestions that inspired me to find 10 more.
Hey, look. Stock photo business people carpooling in the new Scion IA.
Same as before, these are examples of part.
Yes, a Zuzu Trooper. Ford Ranger and the Mazda what was the Mazda version of the Ford Ranger? The B2200. Okay, I'm glad a few of you guys get this. I'm fascinated by this stuff. I know I'm weird. Mazda had an Explorer rebadge, did they? I know Mazda had the Ford Ranger version, which was the B2200. What was Mazda's Explorer called? Does anybody know? I don't know. So Ivan has a good point. So there's a lot of American cars that are rebadged Opals or like very weird stuff that I don't even know existed.
Partnerships between rival auto brands, where one fails to successfully repurpose and sell the other's car as their own. This is My Old Car.
I love
It's
this
weird they
YouTube
have a
channel.
backup camera until you realize they can't turn their heads.
While working on this list, I also came across some rebadged cars in which that rebadge proved to do far better in sales than the original car it was based on.
Oh. I owned a rebadged car. If you've ever owned a Mazda, yes, Stagwar, you're correct. I owned a very weird but kind of cool rebadge car. If any of you have owned a rebadge car, let me know in the comments below. So the one I owned was a rebadge Bosho. I'm definitely drinking Coke and sang some. The rebadge car that I owned was a rebadge. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what it was rebadged from. You can guess. I owned a Pontiac Vibe GT 6-speed manual. Does anybody know what a Pontiac Vibe GT 6-speed was a rebadge from? This is going to be super interesting if you guys... If anyone gets this, you are so nerdy that you're such a weird car nerd that's unbelievable. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes, like 1 minute, to see if anybody gets this. No Googling. Don't Google it, you losers. Nope, Ivan, nope. Wayne, nope. Close. Wayne was close, but no, don't Google it. If you Google it, you lose. Troca RC got it. Toyota Matrix. Not an Opel. Troco RC got it. Okay, hold up. Before we move on to this video any further. I don't know why. I have no idea why. But I bought this as my daily driver at one point in my life. Why I chose to do this, I have no idea. Why I chose to make this decision, I have no idea. So, this... open image in a new tab. And then, oh my God. Open image in a new tab. So this is a Toyota Matrix XRS, right? It's a little Toyota hatchback. You can get it in a couple different trim levels, but the top level was the Toyota Matrix XRS, and it had a 1.8 liter, 180 horsepower, 4-cylinder that was actually built by Yamaha. So it essentially had 100 horsepower per liter. 1.8 liters, 180 horsepower. And Pontiac rebadged this as this. And this is what I had. A Pontiac Vibe GT, which had a Yamaha built 1.8 liter 4-cylinder, 180 horsepower, in this Pontiac. And I called it the Vibrator. That's what that was its nickname, was the Vibrator. Just how I have cream pie and waffle, the name of this car was the Vibrator. And it was a 6-speed manual. And I would troll like guys that have Civic hatchbacks with like a single cam, like a EG hatchback with like a D16 in it with like intake and exhaust. I'd see them on the highway and I would troll them in this Pontiac. And I would put multiple car links on them from like a 60 roll on the highway in a Pontiac Vibe. Always keeping it classy with the car names. It was called the Vibrator because I had like a crazy stereo system in it with like a 15-inch subwoofer with like 2,000 watts and like component. It was like, I had a crazy, because at that time I was a photographer for a car audio manufacturer based in Georgia. And basically I got all this car audio stuff at cost because I was their product photographer. So I put like an insane stereo system in it. So its nickname was the Vibrator. Anyway, that is my story about having a rebadged car. If you've ever had a rebadge car, please let me know in the comments below.
Kind of a reverse
It's
flop,
my story
if you
about my
will.
vibrator.
For example, the Pontiac Vibe was based on the Toyota Matrix, but at least in the US, the Pontiac sold far better. Let me know of others you think should be in this list, and if I get at least 10, I will consider them for a future episode. Number 10. Toyota Corolla, Chevy Nova. When most car people hear the name Chevy Nova, they either think back to the 1960s,
I didn't know this,
when it was first known as a Chevy 2, and competed with the Chevelle and Malibu as an affordable compact muscle car. Or they remember the Nova of the 70s, that gradually became less powerful, and consequently less popular.
I remember you used to drive that crappy blue Chevy Nova. What are you driving now?
Same crappy blue Chevy Nova.
But many may not realize that when the Nova ended its run as a rear-wheel drive compact in 1979, Chevrolet would bring the name back in 1985 on a front-wheel drive subcompact that was designed and built by Toyota.
What?
This new Nova shared the same platform and many
Did you
parts
guys know this?
of one of Toyota's most popular cars, the Corolla. However, unlike most other Japanese cars sold by Detroit's Big Three that were imported, the Nova was built in California under a new partnership between GM and Toyota called.
Did you guys know this? I had no idea that this was a thing. Did you know about this?
New United Motor Manufacturing Incorporated, or NUMI for short,
I
using an
didn't know
older
this.
GM plant in Fremont that had shut down due to poor management and quality issues. Many of the NUMI workers were sent to Japan to learn the Toyota way of manufacturing, which may have been the inspiration for the 1986 movie Gung Ho.
My
Toyota
sister-in-law
also
had the
built
Nova.
Corollas for the North American market at the NUMI factory, but always sold far more Corollas than Novas.
Witness the birth of a bright new star, created through the joint effort of General Motors.
I remember, so I don't remember this, but I remember the Geo Prism. There was a Geo Prism. I can't keep a straight face even saying it. And the Geo Prism of like I guess it's like early or mid 90s, that was a Toyota Corolla. Stagwar, yeah, you're right.
And Toyota Nova.
Over 420,000 Toyota-designed Novas were sold during its 4-year run.
Bro,
a
I
number
had
that
no
may not
idea.
sound like a flop, but the Corolla sales were around 50% more each year, and the Nova sales decreased when it stayed on the same form even after the Corolla was upgraded in 1987. GM would later use the newer Corolla for its Geo Prism beginning in 1990, and the NUMI plant lasted until GM's bankruptcy in 2008, after which a little startup called Tesla took it over.
Go yourself.
Number 9. Ford Explorer, Mazda Navajo.
Who was just you guys? Who said was it? Troca RC nailed it. Mazda Navajo. I didn't know about this. I did not know about this rebadge. I knew about the Ford Ranger and the Mazda B2200, but I did not know about this.
Although most of the vehicles Mazda sells in North America today are SUVs, back in the 1980s, Mazda didn't sell any, and instead sold something they don't offer today, pickup trucks. Like other Japanese car makers, their trucks were compact, such as their B series that began in 1961. However, when Mazda started having financial troubles later in the 60s and early 70s, they turned to Ford for help, and offered their B series pickup to be sold as a Ford Courier, beginning in 1972.
The new Courier, imported by Ford.
When Ford started development of their Explorer SUV in the late 80s, Mazda helped in the development to get a version of their own. Although the Explorer offered both 3- and 5-door models, Ford only allowed the lower volume 3-door as a starting point for the Navajo. Not allowing Mazda to sell the 5-door Navajo was clearly Ford's way of preventing too many of its profitable Explorer sales from being awarded to Mazda. With just a new front fascia and tail lamps, and Ford badging swapped to Mazda inside, the Navajo offered little incentive over the Explorer other than some cheaper plastic trim. The Explorer sales took off in its early years, but Mazda couldn't break through on the marketing of the Navajo, despite earning Motor Trend's Truck of the Year for 1991. Having never sold SUVs before, Mazda could only build off their reputation of the B-Series pickup to encourage customers to try their SUV over the Explorer. But when the Firestone tire scandal hit, Mazda was hurt by it as well, since of course the Navajo used the same tires. When the Explorer was redesigned for 1995, Mazda dropped the Navajo and wouldn't offer another SUV until 2001, with the Tribute, yet another rebadge, this time of the smaller Ford Escape.
But what's this SUV doing in with all these sports cars?
Number 8, Toyota Hilux, Volkswagen Taro.
What? Did you know this existed? Bro, no way. Yeah, the B2200 was very popular. I had a friend that had a B2200 mini truck way back in the day. I did not know there was a Volkswagen Hilux, a Volkswagen Tacoma. Jason, that's a good one. The Isuzu Rodeo Honda Passport, that was a good one. I have to take a piss and I have to make another drink. Bro, I did not know this was a thing. That there was a Volkswagen that was actually a Hilux. That's amazing to me. Are you still here? We have 88 in the chat. We've only lost 12 people watching this weird video. Pontiac's last runs of cars were mostly other platforms from Australia, LS powered. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's a lot of rebranded Pontiacs from down under. We are officially halfway done with our bottle of Sangsum. Car Guy Noob says, my parents had the SUV version of that called the Surf. So Car Guy Noob, where are you from? Because we had that in the US, but it was called a 4Runner. Officially halfway done with our bottle of Sangsum. I'm not drinking the whole thing tonight, especially not on a live stream. That would be a total shit show. Car Guy Noob, where are you from that you had a surf? I'm guessing Australia, maybe? I think they had surfs in Australia. So we had the surf in the US, but it was called a 4Runner. But we have Toyota Surfs here in Thailand as well. I thought about buying one as a daily driver. Cheers, my guys. Okay, let's learn about this Volkswagen Taro? Volkswagen Taro? Bro, I had no idea Volkswagen sold a Hilux. This is news to me. Lewis, with the $40 super chat, your next bottle of Johnny Walker. Appreciate it, bro. I'm going to upgrade from the Sangsum to a bottle of Johnny Walker. I normally drink Johnny Walker Black. That is my go-to. I think Johnny Walker Black is kind of your best your best bang for your bot here in Thailand. But my Thai friend gave me this bottle of Sang Sum, so it would be rude to not drink it eventually, right? But Lewis, appreciate it, dude. Thank you for the super chat. Stagwar, yeah, I feel like the Aztec got a lot of hate, but it was definitely something that was, man, I mean, it definitely holds its own when it comes to like SUVs that talk. I think the Aztec was probably the first like true. Was the Aztec the true like real first crossover? Because it really wasn't an SUV, but it wasn't a wagon. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it has to be one of the first actual crossovers. Anyway, let's learn about this Volkswagen Taro.
My fellow US viewers may not be familiar with either of these models, as neither were sold here.
Well, we know it as a
technically,
Tacoma.
the name Hilux was used for a short time after it was first sold here in 1971. But soon after, Toyota decided to drop the Hilux name in favor of just calling it the Toyota truck. Kind of like when they sold the unnamed Toyota van here in the 1980s.
It may be a job for Toyota Wonder Wagon.
Although the Hilux was designed to be sold worldwide, it didn't sell well in Europe when badged as a Toyota. Coincidentally, Volkswagen wanted a 1-ton pickup to add to their lineup in Europe, so VW partnered with Toyota in 1989 to build the Hilux in their Hanover plant in Germany to sell in Europe, but with VW badging. The name Taro presumably came from Toyota as well, as the name is a Japanese suffix to denote the firstborn son of a family. Although the trucks had a 1-ton rating, they weren't exactly fast, as their 2.4-liter diesel engines could only make 82 horsepower. Initially, the only option was rear-wheel drive and a regular cab, but by 1994, with sales sagging, they opted to offer a 4-wheel drive version, as well as an extended cab. However, that one was an import and built in Japan, not at the Hanover plant. Despite the additional options, sales never met the expectations of either Volkswagen or Toyota, and the Taro, as well as the partnership between the two companies, ended in 1997.
I had no idea, bro.
Just look how pumped car dealership tube man is.
Mazda 2, Scion IA.
And his significant tube other.
A while back I did an entire episode about Scion, a brand created by Toyota in 2003 for the US that was marketed towards younger drivers, hoping to attract buyers who thought Toyota cars were just for old people. Launched initially with just 2 models, the XA and XB, the brand struggled in its later years as a majority of their buyers were not exactly young, since their target young audience simply couldn't afford them. Although performance-minded buyers were impressed with the FRS Sports Coupe, their more fuel-efficient and affordable options were losing sales by the mid-2010s. In a last-ditch effort to introduce new competitive models, in 2015, Toyota turned to rival Mazda for a car that Mazda themselves stopped selling in the US the year before because, ironically, it didn't sell all that well. The Mazda model was called the 2, imported from Japan, and the Scion version followed its usual 2-character naming convention and called it the IA.
I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know Scion made an IA. And isn't it weird? Scion was a sister company of Toyota. So why wouldn't they just rebadge of Toyota? Why would they go to Mazda and rebadge a Mazda instead of rebadging a Toyota? That makes no sense to me at all. You guys in the chat are talking about the Pontiac Fiero. Haggerty made a really good video about the Fiero. If you have not watched the video that's on the YouTube channel Haggerty, you gotta watch Haggerty's video about the Pontiac Fiero. It's really, really good if you haven't watched it.
New IA was a tough sell, considering the only vehicles that sold well in the US back then, and still now, are trucks and SUVs, neither of which Scion offered.
And he can barely contain his excitement about the low-speed pre-collision safety system.
The IA was the only Scion model that wasn't based on a Toyota design.
Belt,
It also was one of the shortest model runs for Scion, tied with the Corolla-based IM by lasting only 1 year, as Toyota finally decided to kill the Scion brand in August of 2016. When considered as a Scion only, the Mazda-based IA was definitely a flop, as it only lasted 1 model year. However, it got a few more sales starting in 2017, when Toyota simply rebadged the IA to be the Toyota Yaris IA, and by 2019 dropped the IA and just called it the Yaris.
The Yaris IA sedan, now simply the Yaris sedan.
With sales dwindling each year, Toyota discontinued the Yaris in the North American market in 2020, although as the writing of this episode, the Mazda 2 remains in production in other world markets. Number 6. Dodge Raider and Dakota, Mitsubishi Montero and Raider. So yes, you heard the name Raider twice in that intro. This one is a bit odd in that the same model name was used as two different rebadges, but in opposite directions. Chrysler and Mitsubishi had a long-standing partnership that began as far as that intro in other world markets.
Hold up.
Number 6. Dodge Raider and Dakota.
So this was, I know these Mitsubishi Monteros. We have them here in Thailand. They're pretty popular. And they're pretty cheap. If you want like a cool retro like 80s off-roader, these Monteros are a good buy here in Thailand.
Mitsubishi Montero and Raider. So yes, you heard the name Raider twice in that intro. This one is a bit odd in that the same model name was used as two different rebadges, but in opposite directions. Chrysler and Mitsubishi had a long-standing partnership that began as far back as 1970. However, it wasn't until the 1980s that their sharing of engines and entire models became more popular. In 1986, Chrysler wanted an entry in the compact SUV market without the cost of developing one from scratch. Mitsubishi was already selling their Montero SUV in the US, better known as the Pajero in other countries. With little to no dealer network, Mitsubishi models were often sold
they're called
within
the
Dodge
Pajero
and Chrysler
here.
dealerships. Mitsubishi offered the Montero to be sold as a Dodge Raider.
Pound for pound, the best standard-equipped import 4x4 on or off the road.
But since they shared dealerships, the two SUVs would sometimes end up on the same sales floor, with little visual differences. Although they sold nearly 20,000 for the 1987 model year, sales were less than half the next couple years, leading to Dodge dropping the Raider by 1989.
Dodge import trucks. We're going places.
Despite that last failure, Mitsubishi and Dodge would pair up again several years later, in 2005, when Mitsubishi wanted to fill their long-running gap in the pickup market, since their Mighty Max was discontinued in 1996. This time around, Dodge would be supplying the donor car, the third-generation Dakota. This would be the last generation for Dodge's midsize pickup, and was not nearly the success it was during its second gen, no thanks to more squared-off styling that turned off potential buyers. Mitsubishi decided to reuse the Raider name
terrible
that Dodge
truck.
used in the late 80s,
Ugly truck.
and made an effort to give the new Raider its own unique sheet metal. Inside, it was all Dakota, including its optional
Bolt. CB stands for chicken and beer. People always ask me what CB stands for. It stands for chicken and beer. I like chicken and beer.
V8 engine, making it the only Mitsubishi to ever offer a V8. Sadly, the Mitsubishi Raider didn't improve on the Dakota's looks much at all, and maxed out at just under 7,500 sold in 2007. With only 1,100 sold in 2009, and Dakota sales also dropping to their lowest levels, Mitsubishi discontinued the Raider that year, and the Dakota itself would be gone 2 years later. Number 5. Lotus Elan, Kia Elan.
You think it's the Lotus Elan. In fact, it's the Kia Elan.
What? There's no way. There was a Kia that was rebadged from a Lotus? Really? Did you know about this? The Pajero was great. The Pajero was a great vehicle. Did you guys know that Kia rebadged a Lotus?
This is one of two entries in this list where they didn't even bother to change the model name. For
No
this
way.
one, neither of these cars were big sellers. In fact, the rebadged version only started after the original donor's car production ended.
Appreciate you, Belt.
It also didn't help that, at the time, the brand doing the rebadging was definitely not known for little sports cars, which probably hurt its credibility.
What?
British automaker Lotus first offered the two-seater convertible Elan from 1962 through 1975, which was a more traditional roadster design being front-engine and rear-wheel drive. However, by the 1980s, Lotus was struggling to stay afloat.
Can you swim?
It was purchased by General Motors in 1986. GM wanted to bring back the Elan for a new roadster and help finance the design of what would be codenamed the M100. GM's association with Isuzu at the time resulted in the new Elan being powered by an Isuzu engine, but was heavily modified to produce 162 horsepower.
It was front-wheel drive. I didn't realize that. 2005 Toyota Celica GTS shared the same engine as the Lotus Elise. Mike, get this. My Pontiac Vibe GT that I was talking about earlier also uses that same engine. It's the 2ZZ. My Pontiac Vibe, which I was talking about earlier, the vibrator, also uses that same engine. It's the 1.8 liter, 180 horsepower, 2ZZ engine that was built by Yamaha. Rob Neighbor says, I love my old car. CB Media rules too. Yeah, I love this YouTube channel. They don't even have 100,000 subscribers, but man, I love this YouTube channel. It's one of my favorites. Elon had an Isuzu engine. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing now. You know, but during this time, a lot of cars ended up as rebadges from Isuzu and running Isuzu engines. I think during this time, like the 90s and 2000s, Isuzu probably made as much money on rebadges and providing engines for other car manufacturers as they did selling their own cars.
Which was a lot for a car that weighed less than 2,200 pounds. However, its release in 1989 meant stiff competition with the then new Mazda Miata, and Lotus only managed to sell 3,855 Elans.
Yeah, why would you buy this over a
1992, of which only 559 were sold in the US. A few more were sold in 1994 and 95 in the UK to use up the remaining engine supply. Presumably as a way to earn some extra cash, Lotus sold the Elan name to Korean automaker Kia in 1995, and Kia built their own version in South Korea. Other than providing new tail lamps, since the Lotus Elan used tail lamps from the Renault Alpine GTA, sourcing an engine from Mazda instead of Isuzu, and a few Kia-specific interior parts, the rest of the Kia Elan was identical to the one Lotus once sold. Sold only in Korea and Japan, the Kia Elan never made it to the US.
I had
Kia
no idea.
in the 1990s was best known for mainstream and not so exciting compact cars. And even in its home country, the Elan wasn't taken seriously.
Little things like the radio, it's possibly the worst radio in the history of car radio.
Only 1,056 Kia Elans were ever made, making it not only one of the rarest.
It's possibly the worst radio in the history of car radio.
Only 1,056 Kia Elans.
1,056 Kia Elans were sold. 1,056. Wow. Because really, why would you buy this over a Miata? You know, I mean, it doesn't make sense. Stagwar, I think probably marketing. Yeah, I think probably marketing. It comes down to marketing. You know, they never had a, never had, you know, in the mind of consumers, their brand was never something that was seen as positive, you know, even though they made some good vehicles that ended up being rebadged into cars that people actually bought. There was so many people driving around every single day in the U.S. in an Isuzu that they didn't know they were driving an Isuzu.
Were ever made, making it not only one of the rarest Kias,
yeah,
but probably
it's very
the last
rare.
car anyone would ever guess was a Kia.
Whoever made it should be shot.
Number 4, Nissan Frontier, Suzuki Equator.
I knew about this.
Although Suzuki had offered small pickups in the past, they were best known in the U.S. for their tiny subcompacts such as the Geo Metro, as well as SUVs like the infamous Samurai, and more mainstream offerings like the Grand Vitara. By 2007, Suzuki had their best sales year ever in the US, but didn't offer a pickup. To help get one on the market quickly, Suzuki turned to Nissan in 2008 to offer their own version of the mid-size Frontier pickup, which was better known as the Navara outside of North America. Nissan had been selling the second generation Frontier since 2004, so the new Suzuki version, to be called the Equator, would begin as a new model on a platform that was already 5 years old, although it coincided with the Frontier's mid-cycle refresh. Despite the record sales in 2007, Suzuki's overall sales took a nosedive over the next couple years, and as a result, advertising was cut back, so much so that pretty much no one knew the Equator even existed. Other than a Suzuki-specific front grille, the Equator shared most everything else from the Frontier. The base price of the Equator in 2009 was under $18,000.
It was so
which was about
obvious
the same
this was
price
a
for the
Frontier.
making little
was so
incentive on
obvious.
choosing the equator. Suzuki was only able to sell about 200 a month, and by 2010, rumors started circulating that Suzuki was considering leaving the US and Canadian market.
Yep.
Suzuki finally pulled out in 2012, resulting in the equator being canceled after only around 5,800 were sold.
Whenever I see that big Suzuki badge on the front of what looks like a Nissan, I get excited, I get ecstatic, and I should probably go to therapy over it because I don't think that's a normal reaction to an 11-year-old outdated pickup truck.
Number
I love
3,
it.
Saab 9-3 Cadillac BLS. For my fellow viewers in the US and Canada.
You know one that I really like? Guys, what was that Saab that was really a Trailblazer SS? It had a LS2 in it? What was that Saab? Somebody here has to know it. Starting to see some Samurais popping up with the ridiculous prices on them. Man, I love those Suzuki Samurais. I think they're super, super cool. What was that Saab, guys? What was the Saab that was really a Trailblazer SS? Does anybody know? Thank you. Saab 97X. Yes. That's actually it's a Trailblazer SS. Yes, the Arrow, correct. Man, I'm glad you guys are as nerdy as I am when it comes to these just weird cars. So speaking of Suzuki Samurais, one of my absolute best friends, one of my first and very closest Thai friends, his name is Oat, and Oat has he has a pretty cool collection of cars. He probably has, I don't know, he probably has like 10 cars. He has one of the craziest Porsche Caymans I've ever seen in my life, R32 GTR. He has many sick cars, but he just finished this build, and it is so freaking cool. Look at this Suzuki Samurai that he built. Full restoration. Absolute full restoration down to a bare shell, and he completely rebuilt this thing back up. The car has its own Instagram. It's called Some Gym the Car. And it's like it's an overlanding build. And I love the livery on it. It's pretty much the same color as cream pie. Yeah, I showed this car on one of my CB1 take videos. Yeah, the color scheme is so perfect on it. It's so cool. It's like a really badass like overlanding build. Anyway.
This next rebadge may not look familiar, as it was never sold here. In fact, the BLS was the only Cadillac that was never sold in North America.
Oh.
Although it was based on the Saab 9-3 and built in Sweden.
What?
This one may have some of you arguing that isn't a true rebadge, as the exterior and interior designs were specific to each model. But I consider it to be a rebadge, as the Cadillac BLS only existed because of the Saab 9-3. The early 2000s was a revolutionary period for Cadillac, with a daring new angular body style that started with the 2002 CTS. That car's success led GM to quickly start revising the entire Cadillac lineup to share the same styling. To further expand on the new design language to Europe, then GM Vice Chairman Bob Lutz suggested using the Saab 9-3 as a starting point, which itself had several GM parts as part of their recent takeover of Saab. The CTS was also the start of new 3-letter designations for most every Cadillac. Internal to the GM and not advertised as such, the 3-letter combinations were really acronyms. For example, CTS meant Catera Touring Sedan, as it was a replacement for the port-selling Catera. Although GM considered the BLS to mean B-segment luxury sedan, as it was smaller than the CTS, many in GM instead would say BLS stood for Bob Lutz Special, considering how the BLS was a marketing and sales fit.
I had no idea this existed. So this is a Cadillac BLS, and it was based on the Saab that also. Am I correct? The Saab that this is based on is also a WRX, right? Right? This is also a WRX. So I knew they call them the Subaru. The Subaru, where it's a Saab, but it's really a WRX. And this is the Cadillac version of that Saab that's based on a WRX. This is weird. I had no idea this existed. And they said this is the only Cadillac to never be sold in the U.S., but only sold outside of the U.S. I had no idea that a Cadillac BLS existed. Yeah, CTS-Vs are badass. Especially, I love the wagons with the 6-speed. I had no idea this was a thing.
From its launch in 2006 to its end in 2008, only 7,356 units of the BLS were sold. Although Lutz may have considered the Swedish heritage and build quality to be an advantage, the typical European clearly didn't want to drive a Saab with a Cadillac badge. Number 2. Chevy Colorado, GMC Canyon, Isuzu I-Series. The old Chevy S10 pickup is arguably the best-known compact pickup ever built by GM.
You know, if it doesn't fit in my Chevy S10, it doesn't fit in my life.
Wow, moron. Good for Happy Gilmore. Oh, my God.
Prior to the S10 days, GM partnered with Isuzu to sell their Love pickup, but then switched sides by selling the GM-designed Chevy S10 and GMC S15 Sonoma pickups, and allowed Isuzu to make a rebadge version called the Hombre.
Hombre.
Somebody help me up.
I remember the Isuzu Hombre. It was essentially, it was an S10.
Upon their end in 2004, GM replaced them with the Chevy Colorado and GMC Canyon, but this time, this new GMT 355 platform was a joint development effort between GM and Isuzu. So as a result, Isuzu would get their own version of the GMT 355.
I didn't know this existed. I didn't know a Isuzu rebadge of the Canyon existed. I knew you had the Hombre from the S15 Sonoma.
Called the I-Series.
Yeah, Stagwar. It sucks. Even like you look at a Ford Ranger these days, and a Ford Ranger is the same size as an F-150 from the 90s. What is that Ford pickup truck that you guys have in the U.S. now? The small one? Man. I can't remember the name of that small Ford pickup truck you guys have now.
Each truck would have a specific number based on the engine displacement, such as the i350 for the 3.5-liter 5-cylinder. Unlike the Chevy S10, the equivalent Isuzu offering, the Hombre, had been out of production for 4 years before the I-Series launched in 2000.
I'm halfway through a bottle of Sangsum at this point, so you guys are going to have to work with me.
2005. Isuzu's product offering in the U.S. was collapsing by that point, nearly avoiding bankruptcy in 2002. Prior to the I-Series, the only other car Isuzu offered was the Ascender SUV, which I included in my first rebadge flops video, as it shared a platform with 5 other GM models.
Wow.
Wait, there's more!
The addition of the I-Series marked Isuzu's last-ditch effort to stay relevant in the U.S., but sales for the I-Series peaked at only 4,100 for 2007. Isuzu's announcement in January of 2008 to pull from the U.S. market 1 year later for light truck sales resulted in a shortened 2009 model year as the last for the I-Series. But it wasn't the end of Isuzu, as they still sell heavy-duty commercial trucks to this day. Number 1. Chevy Cavalier, Toyota Cavalier.
You cruise a highway.
There was a Toyota Cavalier? What? Did anybody else know this was a thing?
I noted earlier.
Look at that. It has a Toyota badge on the front. That is obviously a Cavalier.
That there would be 2 entries in this list, with a rebadge kept the same model name, like the Elan, in which key.
What? Look at that. Toyota Cavalier sedan and coupe. So they rebadged it. but they didn't change the model name. That's crazy. I didn't know that was the thing. Man, could you imagine buying a Toyota in the 90s? Like late 90s, early 2000s? You buy a Toyota and you get Chevrolet build quality and reliability? Damn. You played yourself. Yeah, rebadge a Cavalier. Why? Rebadge a Cavalier into a Toyota? Bruh.
He was hoping to take advantage of a former Lotus name. Toyota apparently thought that the popular Chevrolet model name, the Cavalier, would make it popular in Japan. If that's true, they thought wrong. I chose this one as my number 1 pick, not so much because of low sales, but because of how weird it was for a Japanese automaker to think that an American-made car would sell well in Japan. The Chevy Cavalier first launched in 1982, but it wasn't until its third generation that began in 1995 did the idea to sell the Cavalier in Japan came to be. From the outside, the Toyota Cavalier looked nearly identical to the Chevy, but inside, the dashboard was converted to right-hand drive. They even tried to make seating adjustments for the fact that Japanese people were typically shorter and slimmer than most Americans. Although this was 20 years ago, I'm sure the same holds true today, probably even more so, and I'm saying that as an American.
Woohoo! Look at that blubber fly!
But the one thing Toyota couldn't easily change was that the Cavalier's overall size and engine displacement classified it as what Japan considered a normal class car, not a compact, and as a result, the Cavalier incurred more taxes than smaller Japanese-built cars. It also didn't help that, big surprise, Japanese car buyers considered the American-built car to be lacking in quality.
Yeah.
Even with upgrades Toyota insisted be done for their Cavalier, as compared to those sold stateside. GM and Toyota had hoped this partnership would sell 20,000 Cavaliers a year in Japan through 1,100 Toyota dealers. But in its first full year of the experiment of 1996, sales peaked at just 11,467 and never went up from there. It didn't help that many Cavaliers that were bound for Japan.
Look at that. That is straight up a Cavalier. That is a Chevrolet Cavalier with a Toyota badge on the hood. That blows my mind that this is a thing. Like, why would you take one of the worst cars? Like, so as far as Chevrolet Cavaliers go, like, I guess maybe the generation before this, like the boxy generation that was like they had a Z24 package, is kind of cool in like kind of an ironic way. It's still terrible. It's still a piece of shit. But it's kind of cool, again, in an ironic way, right? This Cavalier is terrible. This is a terrible car. And putting a Toyota badge on it, bruh. This is bad. What were they thinking?
Were sent back for not meeting their standards, despite these cars getting extra attention that the American-sold cars didn't get in the same factory. GM finally canceled the deal in 2000, but the third-gen Cavalier would live on in the U.S. until 2005.
Toyota Cavalier, this is a sick joke.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, click the like button and subscribe to my channel. If you once owned a car from the 70s to mid-2000s that you rarely see today and would like it featured in a future episode, leave a reply in the comments or contact me at the email shown here. See you next time.
Shout out to My Old Car, one of my personal favorite YouTube channels, just because I'm very interested in this type of automotive content. It's very weird and it's very unique, I know. But yeah, I mean, so for those that don't know, I kind of grew up at auctions and car lots. So pretty much my entire life, my dad has been an automotive mechanic who was constantly trying to start his own small used dealership. He was able to do it a few times, failed multiple times, lost everything, went back to working as a mechanic, and tried multiple times. These days, my dad currently owns a small used car dealership in the Atlanta area. It's just him, my stepmom, and like 1 or 2 employees, and they have like 15 to 20 cars on their car lot. Cheap cars, like, you know, $5,000 to $20,000 cars. So I grew up at car lots. I grew up going to auctions. So my dad was always buying just normal cars. So I actually have, well, me personally, I love sports cars. Um, I have like a weird interest in just normal pedestrian daily driver, like boring cars. And I like these type of videos. So, yeah, so that's one of the reasons my old car is one of my personal favorite YouTube channels. We need a vibe build project now. Yeah, I don't think there's any Pontiac vibes here in Thailand, sir. Yeah. So, did you go to that big auction on 85 just south of Perimeter? Correct. I think that is Meekum. Was that Meekum? Man, I can't remember which one it was. But yes, many, many times I think it was Meekum. I've spent I spent months of my life at that auction. Yeah. Yeah. So, man, oh my God. Yeah. I spent a lot of time at my dad's car lot and at auctions just seeing just normal cars. So, I mean, obviously, when something cool would come through the auction, when you know, a Catfish Camaro, an SS Camaro would come through, or a 300ZX twin turbo, I would lose my mind, of course, but I just spent a lot of time around normal, boring cars, and for some reason these days I'm just interested in them. So that's one of the reasons my old car is one of my favorite YouTube channels. I love them. So, yeah. Did the big three even build small cars for anything other than meeting CFAE numbers? Wayne, good point. Yeah, especially during the generation where it had like the fuel crisis. I think that was a lot of that as well. Okay, 78 people in the chat. We only lost 20 people watching my weird rebadging video. Mark, I appreciate it, man. Good morning. Good evening here. I assume you're in the US if it's morning time. Yeah, the live streams are just something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy hanging out and talking with everybody, you know, and just watching cool videos that I find interesting, and I hope you guys find it interesting as well. Did you see the M3? They're tuning up on big time. Of course, yeah. So they've had that car for a while. I've seen it in the background of donut videos for a while. And you know, they did a lot of talk about how great the S65 M3 is in that video, which is super cool. California, okay, cool. Oh yeah, Cash for Clunkers killed a lot of cool cars. Facts, man, facts. I remember a long time ago, I watched a YouTube video about like the coolest cars that got crushed during Cash for Clunkers. And there was like a Typhoon in there. There was a GMC Typhoon in there. There was so many cool cars that were in there that just got destroyed because of Cash for Clunkers. John says my friend Mike has a 1966 Mini Cooper with a Honda K-Series engine. John, so before YouTube, I was a photographer and journalist for a bunch of car magazines, and I shot a Mini Cooper for Honda tuning, and I got to go ride in it, and it was a late 60s Mini Cooper, but it had a Honda J35 out of an Accord. So it was the V6 VTEC Accord engine mounted in the back of the Mini Cooper with a root style blower off a Chevrolet 3800 engine. So off like a Bonneville or like a Grand Am with the factory supercharger. So they bolted that to the top of the Honda V6 and it made like 360 rear wheel horsepower. And I got to go for a ride in that thing. It was wild, dude. Stagwar, Joby follows me on Instagram. So Job has followed me on Instagram for a while. I've talked to Job through Instagram DMs, and they said they want to come to Thailand and ride on some Thai longtail river boats. So it actually might happen. Yeah, Job follows me on Instagram. He's always watching Job is always watching my Instagram stories, which is pretty cool. Let me see if I can find some photos of that Mini Cooper. It's pretty freaking sweet. I probably still have some photos of it. Yep, I do. These photos were from a super long time ago. So here's that Mini Cooper. So this Mini Cooper is sick, bro. This thing is sick. Look at this. Look at that. Tiny little 13-inch R888 tires. It's a badass little Mini Cooper. It's the front of it, the fuel cell in the front. I got to go for a ride in this thing. It was wicked. It would literally lift the front tires like 2 or 3 inches off the ground from a dead stop because it weighed nothing and all the weight was in the rear and it was on tiny little R888s. First gear, you could just dump the clutch. It would dead hook and literally just pick the front tires like that far off the ground. Trainer Beast, correct. I definitely find newer cars definitely boring. They're just not engaging and exciting. I mean, of course there are exceptions to that rule. I really like the new Porsche GT4 Cayman, obviously GT3s, stuff that is built for driver experience over lap time and horsepower and speed. And I think we're going to get more cars like that. I think as EVs become the go-to thing for a daily driver, you're going to have more manufacturers that are building cars that are toys that are specifically built for driver engagement rather than horsepower, lap time, and stuff like that. So. One of my friends has an SR20 swap cream-colored B14 Sentra. His car is popular in the big Philippine car meets. I don't know if I've seen that car before. I've been to a lot of car meets in the Philippines. I really like those B14 Sentras. They're very, very cool. Does it have an SR20 swap? I thought those came with an SR20 factory. I thought those came with an SR20 stock. They're just front wheel drive, right? Trucka RC says he has a 35th anniversary in the garage. Nice, man. Is it aren't those Hugger orange? Am I wrong? Aren't those Hugger orange with the stripes? I could be wrong, but I thought those were Hugger orange. Frank, I've never heard of a VW Quantum. Said I owned one back in the day. Supposedly Audi drivetrain with a 5-cylinder. I've never heard of a Volkswagen Quantum. No. I mean, that would be a rebadge if it was based off an Audi, but Audi and Volkswagen's basically the same thing pretty much. Stagwar. Yeah, old Beetles. I wouldn't say old Beetles in Thailand are cheap, but they're probably about the same price as the US, but the labor to restore them is extremely cheap. So you have a lot of like fully restored, like perfect, fully restored old school Beetles here for you buy one for probably half the price of what you can buy one in the US for. Carnivore Expat says, "Hey dude, I just got back from the Philippines, missing it already. I gotta check out Thailand soon." Awesome, man. Where were you at in the Philippines? I'm a huge fan of the Philippines, but if you've not been to Thailand, you definitely need to check out Thailand. I meet a lot of people in the Philippines that they go, "Oh yeah, I've been coming to Philippines for 15 years. I've been here 30 times, but like one day I want to go check out Thailand." You should definitely check out Thailand. It's way cheaper than the Philippines. Way cheaper than the Philippines. B14 Sentra had two engines, 1.6 liter and the SR20. Okay, yeah. So the B14 Sentra, the one that had the SR20 was called the SER. So that makes sense. The base model was the 1.6 and the SER was the SR20. Those SER Sentras back in the day were very slept on. They're a very slept on car. Just south of Manila in Batangas. Batangas. I've been to Batangas, haven't I? No, I haven't been to Batangas. I know where Batangas is. Batangas is right off of Quran. It's near Quran. I haven't been to Batangas, but I want to go because Batangas is where the other racetrack in the Philippines is. So I've been to Tagaytay, Imus, Cavite, but Batangas is further south of Manila. We live south of Manila in Batangas. I've heard good things about Batangas, though. There's only two racetracks in the Philippines. That's Clark International Raceway, which is in Clark Freeport Zone, Pampanga, Angeles City, Philippines. And the second racetrack is Batangas Raceway, which is in Batangas. Yeah, correct. 3.5 hour flight. Yeah, it's right by Tagaytay. Yeah, it's not far. It's not that far south of Tagaytay. So there's a big jeepney car show that happens every year in Tagaytay at Wind Residences in Tagaytay. I go to that every year. I think it's normally in like September or something. Mark, I've heard the Philippines has some of the best scuba diving in the world. I do want to get into scuba diving. The only problem is I have to have scuba diving goggles for like the prescription for my glasses because it would suck to just go scuba diving and not be able to see anything. 35th bright red with black stripes. Hugger orange was 99 SS, I believe. Nice, man. I got a Cyclone as well. Mini truck. Oh wow. Very cool. Yeah, I thought the 35th was Hugger orange with black stripes. But I have seen now that you mention it, I have seen ones that were red with black stripes as well. I love Catfish Camaros. They're so cool. I think the Catfish Camaro is like if you're going to buy a car that was like, 20, 15 to 25,000 US dollars as a car that will go up in value as a collector car in the US, a Catfish Camaro or WS6 Trans Am is like one of the best buys that you can currently do right now. I think you'll easily double your money in 10 years. Easy. You have a cool car and, and you're not going to lose any money. You'll actually make money off of it. There used to be a raceway in Subic Bay, but it got shut down in 2009. Wow, I had no idea. I did not know that. I mean, that kind of makes sense. There would be a raceway in Subic Bay. I had no idea. I had no idea. How long have we been live? I think I want to watch one more YouTube video with you guys. Man, almost 2 hours, bro. I mean, this is what happens when I start drinking whiskey. I have went through a half a bottle, small bottle, but a half a bottle of Sing Sum. I'm going to spend Christmas and New Year in Thailand. I've never been during that time. So excited. It's a great time to be here. The only thing that I can complain about Thailand during that time of year is it's just a little busy. I mean, there's a lot of people here. Um, so a lot of times you go into restaurants, it's hard to get a seat, stuff like that. But the weather is perfect, man. The weather is so good that time of year. You just have to be conscious of the places you go because it's a little busy. Like there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people here during that time. We like drunk YouTubers. I am definitely on the verge of being a drunk YouTuber. Very, very close. Very close. A half a bottle of Sang Sum will do that. Okay, refill. I definitely can't get too drunk. I got stuff to do tomorrow. Maybe we'll save the other half of this bottle for next weekend. Maybe every weekend we'll do a Chad gets drunk off of Thai whiskey stream. I'm going to Japan, South Korea, and Thailand next year instead of this year. Very nice, man. I've never been to South Korea. I would love to go to South Korea. I've only been, I went to Japan one time. I've been to Japan once, and I stayed there 2 months. Super Street Magazine sent me out there to go photograph Tokyo Auto Salon. I think it was 2017, and I just I rented an Airbnb in Tokyo and Shibuya for 2 months. So oh, that was a lot. That was a bigger pour than um that was that was a little bit more than I planned to put in there. Yeah, I've never been to South Korea. I would like to go. My problem with traveling these days is I'm so spoiled by Thailand pricing that when I go to other places, like even Poland was cheap. Um, for Europe, Poland is so incredibly cheap. I mean, it's literally half the price of the US. And I was still complaining that things were expensive because I'm so spoiled by Thailand. Thailand just offers you a value for the money that you spend that is just unbeatable worldwide. I hear Palawan has one of the best reefs in the world to scuba dive. Yeah, Palawan's supposed to be really good for scuba diving, but also I was told like down like near Siargao, like down near that area, like Leyte, Siargao, like down that area was supposed to be really, really good for scuba diving. South Korea, Japan are not cheap, actually. Definitely not. Definitely not. They're, I mean, that's Asia. That's not Southeast Asia. It's definitely not cheap. That's again, that's why I haven't been back to Japan, and that's why I've not been to South Korea. Is because I'm just so spoiled by the pricing that you get in Southeast Asia. The value you get for what you spend. It's crazy. Bobcat says visiting 3 to 4 Southeast Asian countries for winter this month. Nice, Bob. Where are you going? Which countries are you going to? And which cities in those countries? Oh, that's a strong one. That's definitely a strong one. It's a little heavy on that pour. What's up? What's up? Man, it is 11:30, guys. I was going to watch one other video with you dudes, but it looks like we have officially been live for 2 hours, and it is 11:30 p.m. And well, I got shit to do tomorrow. So I'm going to finish this one last drink. I'm going to have me a snack. I'm going to take a shower. And then I am taking my ass to bed before I get too drunk on this live stream. I will attempt to update you guys tomorrow and let you know if my half a bottle of Sing Sum left me hungover or not. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on this live stream here on Sunday night in Pattaya, Thailand. 1 week hotel in Europe costs 2 times what a good condo costs in Thailand for a month, for sure. Malaysia, KL, Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City, Da Nang, Philippines, Cebu, and Manila. Man, that's gonna be a good trip. Anyway, guys, I'm officially out. I'm gonna finish this last drink, take a shower, and then my ass is going to bed. I will check in with you guys next week. Again, I appreciate the support. Anybody that sent me a super chat during this live stream, thank you so much for your support. And if you're watching this on replay and you made it all the way to the end, please let me know in the comments below. And I will see you guys on another live stream very soon when I'm more sober. See you guys later. Good night. Peace out.